Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Thanks for tuning in to Your Working Life, my podcast series featuring thought leaders in the career and personal growth arena. Now, I know that you spend a significant portion of your life at work, so I'm on a mission to provide you with tools, inspiration, and resources so you can enjoy your career and love your life. And today's very special guest is Robyn Hatcher. Robyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Caroline. It's my pleasure.
Good, good. Well, I'm glad you're with me. We are kindred spirits in many ways. So I want to tell our listening audience all about you, and then we're going to launch into a juicy conversation about presentation skills, at which you are an expert, and eager to have some valuable takeaways and action steps for our audience.
Great.
Robyn Hatcher is, or was, I should say, an extremely shy child by her own admission, and she's now passionate about transforming the way individuals communicate and express themselves. For the past 15 years, Robyn Hatcher and Speak, etc., has helped thousands of business professionals improve their communication skills. Robyn is also an adjunct professor at New York City's Baruch College and the Fashion Institute of Technology, a master trainer and curriculum developer with Leadership Transformation Group, a consultant with Hurwitz Strategic Staffing, and a trainer performer with Performance Plus, an innovative management training and employee development program. And Robyn has written a tremendous book called Standing Ovation Presentation. And I'm very eager to unpack that with her and talk about how all of you listening can become more effective presenters. So Robyn, let's dive right in. With so many presentation skills books on the market, why is there a need for your particular take on this and your book right now?
I have found that with many presentation books, not all, of course, is that they preach a one size fits all way of doing a presentation. Yes, there are great ways, there are tips, there are wonderful strategies and outlines. But what I discovered in my many years of training as an actor, as a writer, all of this stuff, I discovered that we are so individual.
Yeah.
And that in order for you to be effective as a presenter, you first have to type into what your personal communication style is based on your nature, based on your nurture, whatever. And once you hone in on that, then you can polish that and become a presenter, an effective presenter in that style and not someone else's style. So I wanted to write a book that addressed that.
Wonderful. And, I applaud you for that because I am also a performer. I have roots as a singer, and I agree with you 100%. There's no one size fits all, but you are giving empowering advice and wisdom and technique to people so they can become authentic and develop their own style and be the best at their own game.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Well put. Being the best at your own game. Just like Judy Garland said, you can, I can't remember the quote now, but it was, you can only be the best you that you can be. That's
Absolutely.
all you can be.
Absolutely. I like it. So what differentiates standing ovation presentations from other books? Help us understand what your book is all about.
Well, one of the things that I did in a fun way is like that there are a lot of assessment tools, personality tests, all
Yeah.
of those. There's the Myers-Briggs, there's the DISC, and I love all of those things. But what I did was created my own assessment tool or skill or measure, and I call it actor types. And so what I've done is I've identified 9 different actor types that you will recognize from watching television, watching the movies, watching soap operas, for which I wrote for many years, not many years, but a few years. And what I've done is created types that are fun to identify with. There are the 9 types that will recur in all kinds of venues and medias. So I have your hero, of course. We have our superhero. We have the villain. We have the whiz kid. We have the curmudgeon. We have a supermodel sex symbol. We have an ingenue and the comic. So we have a lot of different types. And that, of course, I've left out the curmudgeon, which is also a very type. And when you really think about how scripts are written, how people show up in one of these styles almost consistently. And then you have to find out which style that you have and which you want to polish.
I love that. And what I love about your book too is it's fun, right? It's
Yeah,
engaging,
exactly.
it's entertaining, it's energetic. So it's not preachy, but there are absolute action steps to empower you to be successful. So thank you for writing it in such a way.
Yeah,
It's just it's delightful. And back to your point about these actor types. Again, you can't have a movie with just a one-dimensional character, right? For example, or a television
exactly.
show. So
Right,
we need all of those types out on the speaking and presenting circuit. And that relatability is important, and that
right.
variety. So again, thank you for giving everyone permission to be authentic. Now,
Yeah, thank you.
do help me understand though, who should be reading this? Business
Mm-hmm.
professionals, aspiring actors. I can see a variety of people, media folks, you name it. Help me understand the
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah, the audience is, and when I'm asked that question, when I think about that question, it really is for everyone. And I think like the one type of person or category of person it is not for is, like you mentioned, people that don't want to have fun or don't want to,
Who are they?
don't want to lighten up around this whole idea. There are people that really are stuck in the reality or the thought that presentations, communication is a very serious thing.
Yeah,
It's like, and
yeah.
it's got to be done this way or no way. And if you're one of those type of people, you may not appreciate my book. However, like you said, I really strive to reach everyone. And that's in my coaching technique, in the way that I teach. Is like, there is a lightness to life and appreciation for the fun part. And at the same time, it can be effective and meaningful. And that's what I want to do in my communication, in the books that I write, and in the everything that I write. And that's what I want you to do as a communicator and a presenter. You need to know when to be serious, when to have fun, when to bring out all different types and styles. So the book is for anyone who really wants to be multifaceted. And that's what I like to think about it. It's like we all have these diamonds within us, and we need to figure out how to polish those diamonds. Some of us, they're still lumps of coal, let's admit it. And other of us may have the 10 carat and we can turn it into a 20 carat diamond. So that's what I want to do in all of the coaching that I do, in the writing that I do. So just adding some more facets to who it is that you are. So if you have something and you want to strive to be better, this book will help you.
And I just want to add to that because as someone like you who's on the seasoned speaker circuit, it takes a lot to really impress me in another speaker, right? My
Mm,
bar is really high and I have
right,
very specific expectations. And part of that, I do want to be entertained in addition to informed. It's
right.
just something that resonates with me as a performer. So
Hmm.
I love how you're talking about, look, if you're a 10 carat diamond, you can become a 20 carat diamond. How do
Hmm.
you up your game?
Right.
And the levity portion is so important. I
Yes.
work with a lot of academics too, and the
Hmm.
information is brilliant, but if it doesn't
Right.
land, forget it,
Now,
right?
yeah, and it's like I've been supplementing a lot of my work and a lot of my presentations with neuroscience information because I'm a
Yes.
real geek about it. I love neuroscience. And the more that they research, the more that I read about research, it's so critical to have that emotional levity part because we learn more when we're in lighter emotional
Yeah.
state. Our
Right.
brain just takes in more, we process it differently, we remember it differently, and we remember it longer.
Nice, nice. Thank you for that. So
Hmm.
I applaud you for using acting and theater as a backdrop for creating your book, Standing Ovation Presentations. And thank you for describing the actor types. So what led you to see these characteristics and understand their strengths and weaknesses and their qualities and their fatal flaws?
Yeah, it hit me like a brick when I started to write my book. Yeah, because as an actor, I had like an over 20-year career as an actor, and starting off as an actor, you think, oh, you can do anything. I can do any role. Why didn't I get that audition? Why did she get that audition? I didn't. And it didn't take me too long because I was a pretty smart kid to realize that sitting in those audition rooms and listening and then looking at people who were talking like that, I started realizing, you know what? No, you really can't do that role. And I started to unravel why they couldn't do that role. It could be a physical thing, it could be an emotional thing, it could just be a feeling thing. So
Hmm.
that's something that I noticed about through the acting part. Then, when I was a struggling actor, I needed to make some money. So I started teaching English as a second language. And I
Hmm.
did that for years. And so I would teach adult level learners English, and that's how I really developed my public speaking skills because I really wanted them to communicate. And then I started noticing that these people, no matter where they came from, I had Russians, I had Chinese, I had Japanese, I had Koreans, people, Latin Americans, they all sort of gravitated to a particular style. Each person, no matter what their language, whenever what their background, they would fall into certain styles. Then when I was writing for the soap operas, I was then forced to really look at types up close and personal because when you're writing for a soap, when you're writing a day in the soap, you had to write for each character. So
Right.
there may be like 10 different characters in one day. I could not write one line for one character that would be more appropriate for another character. So then it started to make me think of like, what are the words? What are the characteristics? And as I was writing for the soaps, I started reflecting on people that I knew in order to know how to write that particular line. That's when it started all coming together. Like, wow, we come in different types, don't we? And they're
Yes.
pretty, they're pretty defined.
Yeah. Oh, I love that story. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
in your experience as a professional, what actor type do you encounter most, and where? What industry? Is there an example of
Right.
that?
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, I tend to run into more of the hero type
Hmm.
because they self-identify as hero, and when they take the quiz, which is on my website speaketc.com, there's a quiz you can take. When they take the quiz, they mostly come up the highest level of the hero. Now, granted, we are more than one type. So the way that I've designed the quiz is that your top type is going to come up, and then you're going to have numbers associated with the lesser and secondary types.
Hmm.
So in entrepreneur world, that's where I come in. However, when I do my coaching and my training, I work with a lot of financial advisors and people in the finance industry, where in which case I will find a lot more whiz kids, the people that
Ah,
are very data heavy and that really want to talk and talk and talk about the intricacies and the details, and then they then need to find out that they need to connect more emotionally. The thing with heroes is their fatal flaw, as you mentioned earlier. They every type, no matter how laud how high level it sounds, is that they all have fatal flaws. And one of the
yeah.
fatal flaws of the hero is not being vulnerable. So a lot of
Ah,
times that, those entrepreneurs, they're so used to getting things done and being on top of things that they lose their story, they lose their
interesting.
vulnerability, they lose the emotional connection.
Wow.
And
So it's tunnel
yeah,
vision, right? They're so
yeah,
focused.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so
Interesting.
that's the interesting hero and whiz kid, and then in different professions. So those are two, and of course the other part, and I work with a lot of women, female entrepreneurs, and then what you'll find is a huge amount of buddy after types, and the
Mm,
buddy is that person who really wants to be liked, who wants
right.
to be your friend, who wants to really do so much customer service, which is all, these are all great things. You want to be like, you want to have customer service. But the fatal flaw in the buddy is that when it comes to asking for money or for asking for the job, it can get really difficult for them, because it's a fatal flaw. It's like they care more about being liked than getting the job sometimes or getting the money. So that's what I
Fascinating.
find in a lot of the female entrepreneurs, and it used to be stereotypical that it was female, but then all of a sudden I had a string of male clients who all had that same MO. So it's across the board that we sometimes put being liked above getting the job done.
So let me follow up then and say, is there one particular type who is more effective than others at presenting?
Yeah, and at presenting, you'd have to definitely give it to the hero is usually the more effective presenter. Now, and a lot of times heroes are made and heroes are created. It's like when you think of the hero in a movie or a
Hmm.
television show, but they have a lot of stuff going on. They have a backstory. An effective hero, when I was writing screenplays and writing full time, it's like the hero's journey is the most important thing because you need to show up that you need to show the audience our Achilles heel. And that's
Right.
why when people do not show their Achilles heel, that hero becomes really not relatable. And so, because most heroes have a lot of Achilles heels,
Mm-hmm.
they have a lot of experience delving in and out of a lot of the other different actor types. And so they're more comfortable using a lot of their the other different actor types when need be, so that as a presenter, they can be more flexible and more facile. And that can often make them a better presenter or a more comfortable presenter, I should say,
Nice.
than some of the other types. Yeah.
So it's really about being nimble
Yeah.
in that situation. Wow,
Yeah.
this is fascinating. So help me understand how your book can help a reader do better at knowing what their actor type is, because this self-discovery is a big part
Right.
of what you teach.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I have in the book, I have a whole page of adjectives, positive adjectives. And I have a list of how you can really do this self-discovery thing. You can go through that list of adjectives and circle the ones that you feel apply to you. Another way that I suggest is to have a friend or a colleague give you three adjectives that they think top of their head describe you.
Hmm.
You really want to get clear. You want to be honest with yourself and you want to get that honest feedback. Oftentimes in my workshops or my presentations, I'll have strangers turn to a stranger and give them three adjectives because let's face it, that first impression, you get something. And so once you do that and you find out your adjectives, find out who it is that you are, then I encourage people to read through the descriptions of the actor types, and you can get a gut reaction of like, oh yeah, that's me. Most people will do it. Will be able to self-identify that way. And like I said, you can also take the quiz online, which will be helpful if you answer honestly,
Yeah,
because that
yeah.
self-assessment is so important because it doesn't mean that you have to stay there. Like you mentioned in the intro, I was so shy that shy was my actual nickname. You know,
Wow.
people were introduced to me as shy, and Christmas cards were signed as shy.
Wow.
So, I know that change is possible. It's just that when you really dig down in there and say, okay, this is how I am now. Where do I want to be? And that's again where neuroscience can come in. And so when you have that list and all those other attributes or the other strengths of some of the other actor types, like, oh, I want to borrow some of that hero actor type. What do I need to do? Ah, I can change my body language to do this. Oh, I can really deepen my voice to do this. I can use an inflection like this. And the more you do that, because in the book I also have exercises on how to how to stand, how to walk, how to use the
Mm-hmm.
voice, how to
Mm-hmm.
use intonation, all of those things. Because once you learn how to do that, then neurologically, you then have the power to start to make different neurological connections so that you become a different person.
See, I love that. And again, you and I understand from a performance background that there's a lot of technique involved. And I think
Mm-hmm.
some of our speakers and presenters out there just think they're only being themselves. And to some
Right,
extent, that's true because one
right,
wants to be authentic. But
right,
this concept of the actor type means that you pull strengths and techniques and ideas from all the other types to
right.
make a holistic presentation that resonates, right?
Yeah,
So it's not one
exactly.
dimensional. Wow.
Exactly. There's no benefit in being authentic if you're not being effective.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's like it serves no one, including
It
yourself.
serves no one is right.
Yeah,
Is right.
exactly. So one of the caveats that I always want to point out because people can get confused is that once you know your actor type, does that mean that you could then use it as an excuse? And that is a no.
Yeah, that
Like
is a
if
no.
you say,
Exactly.
it's like, oh, I came up 90% curmudgeon, so people just have to take me
No.
as I am.
Right.
No.
Right.
You came out 90% curmudgeon. Okay, so now let's get to work.
Right, right. This is a starting point.
Yeah.
So, Robyn, so many of my listeners are budding entrepreneurs or they're trying to really build their professional brand within an organization and look for upward mobility. So, their opportunities to speak might be more small scale than a
Mhm.
large convention or event that you and I might do, although I know I have speakers listening as well. But that communication across the table in the boardroom is just as important.
Oh,
So,
it's
can
huge.
you give just a few tips about
Yeah.
folks that are in careers that are trying to ramp it up and how they
Yeah.
might be more in control of their communication skills?
Yeah, that's a great question because I do work individually with a lot of people in the workforce already who just want to up level the way that they come across.
Yeah,
And that's one of the things that is so important. And I'm going to dip into neuroscience again, but with the discovery of mirror neurons, it is so incredibly important for you to know your strengths and your values and to be able to embody them and bring them to the work with you. So when
mm,
I say mirror neurons, it's like people can pick up emotionally how you are feeling, whether you are indicating it or not. So this getting in touch with your actor type, the positive and the strength of your actor type is going to be essential for the way people perceive you at work. And so some of the tips are then to know the value that you bring to an organization. If you have to do a mantra, if you have to do affirmations before work each and every day in order to get there, you want to walk into that room, into that office with that affirmation within you so that people can get it from you. They mirror it from you. I just, in the middle of a coaching session with someone who had been bullied at work. And
mm.
she was like a great, and what happens is people will touch different buttons in you depending on who they are and where you are at the moment. And she had overcome this bullying for a long time. And all of a sudden she was in a work environment that button got pushed again.
Ah,
So what we worked on is giving her the skills of how to deal with that type of bully. And one of those skills is definitely to build yourself up, to picture the you that you want to be, or
I
the
like
you
it.
that you used to be in a more confident place. The other thing is to look at that bully and to look at find something positive in that person. Find one thing or two things that you can see as positive and acknowledge that within yourself. I'm not saying the brown nose or
Hmm.
anything like that. What I'm saying is to look at that person and say, okay, this is a good part of this person. Let me lead with this. Let me go into a room with that. The other thing is you want to always acknowledge the emotions that are going on in that other person, whether you do it in yourself or you do it verbally to acknowledge that person, acknowledge the greatness in them, something positive, that's something that they want, and always link it to your value. So there
Brilliant.
are so many great techniques that you can employ, and it's amazing what the differences that she feels just going into work now.
Good for her and good for
Yeah,
you. Thank you for being
yeah,
a great resource. Robyn,
yeah.
let's talk about your book, Standing
hmm
Ovation Presentations. How can we buy the book and how can we follow you online?
Yes, the book is available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
Hmm.
Just look for the title, and you can find out much more information about me from my website, speaketc.com. That's speaketc.com. I have a YouTube channel with a lot of videos that are very helpful on body language and vocal tone and all of those things. I will be putting out a video series on how to conduct or create an engaging intromercial, which is what I call an elevator
Yeah,
pitch.
very good.
And online on Twitter, Speak ETC. I'm on Facebook, Speak ETC. And I would love to hear from you. You can email me directly at Robyn, ROBYN, at speaketc.com.
Excellent. Robyn, what a pleasure to have you on the show. Terrific information. Love your book. And everybody can learn and benefit from the wonderful resources that you share because the reality is all of us need to use effective communication skills in our lives and in our work every day. So this book is for
Exactly.
everybody.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Be well, Robyn, and I hope our paths cross again.
Yeah, me too.
And I want to thank you for tuning into Your Working Life, where my goal is to help you design your career destiny so it doesn't happen by default. True career and life satisfaction is possible, and it's time to embrace what you love doing so you can do more of it. I'm Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Take good care.